Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. We had a request for an interpreter, an American Sign Language interpreter. So I'm going to go ahead and move her over to a panelist as well so she can interpret for us. So welcome, Rebecca. Let's see if she comes up. There she is.
There she is.
Christy, do you want to read the executive order?
Yeah, I was just waiting for Rebecca to get ready so she can interpret.
Okay.
I just realized if you click on attendees up at the top where you see the word attendees, it shows you the names of the people.
Okay. Hi, Rebecca. Welcome and thank you. Let's get situated. Let us know when you're ready, okay? Ready?
I'm sorry.
Ready?
Yeah, ready.
Okay. Diane, do you want to go ahead and call the meeting? Oh, actually, I'll read the executive order first.
Okay.
The Personnel Commission meeting for May 27th, 2020 will be conducted completely online. Executive Order N2920 supersedes prior instructions and prohibits a gathering space even if social distancing guidelines are followed. Please see the call to order below to see how you might access the meeting. Okay, go ahead, Diane.
Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:33. Everybody's online. I'll do a roll call.
Chair Lane,
Here.
Vice Chair Hodges,
Here.
Commissioner Peixoto.
Here.
Okay, I have a special announcement regarding public comment. Please wait for the commissioner chair to ask for speakers at each item. When it is time, please use the raise your hand function online to request to speak. If you are attending by telephone, press star 9, I'm sorry. You'll be unmuted online, or your area code and last 2 digits of your phone number will be called when it is time for you to speak. Please be aware that Personnel Commission Rule 2.9a states that employees, employee organizations, and other interested parties will be provided reasonable opportunity to present their views orally. Your comments should not exceed 3 minutes. When you are unmuted, please begin by stating your name.
Okay, Christy, I think I might have you watch on the speakers who raises their hand because I can't tell.
Yes, I will. Once we make a movement, or once you move the item, then I will let you know if we have public speakers, and then I'll go through the ones who are raising their hands and go from there.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? All those in favor?
I move to approve the agenda for May 27th, 2020.
I second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Nope.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, comments from the members of the Personnel Commission.
Andy?
Andy?
I don't have really anything to say.
I did listen into the town hall that Dr. Wayne did, what was that, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I thought it was very informative. I think that they're doing a really good job on getting comments from the public out there as to what's going to happen next. So good job.
I also watched the town hall meeting and I was very impressed. I thought parents had a lot of good questions. No one was griping. I thought Matt did an excellent job. Senior management was there to answer any questions if needed, but I thought it was really well run. I thought I was impressed with it. Any comments from the union leadership?
I don't have any speakers.
Okay. Comments from district administration?
No speakers again.
No? Okay.
No.
Report from the executive director, Fernando?
Yes, I just want to report, we have just been doing while there may be what is it, stay and cover, kind of quarantine order and everything. We meet daily and discuss how are we supporting students, how are we supporting families through this experience. We're working on ensuring that we are providing access to technology, since we're doing most of our work now, including instructional opportunities for students via technology, via computers, hotspots throughout the district. So we're really just trying to ensure that we do that. Just piggybacking on the comments about the town hall meeting, we are awaiting further guidance from both the county and the state. The county from the Alameda County Department of Health, and from the state with regards to Tony Thurman and the Superintendent of State Instruction, so that we can really plan wisely on opening schools and what that's going to look like. And in the meanwhile, as we're trying to plan that out and the various scenarios that occur, we're also in the midst of working with our labor partners on the actual closing of schools. So there is a whole process, it's not just the unfortunate, experience that students this year who are graduating aren't going to be able to do the pomp and circumstances and do the big physical public graduation. But there's also all of the other students, below that, still have to clean out their desks, their belongings. You have teachers who still have their belongings, because when we closed on March 16th, we just kind of shut down. So it's really, how do we close that out? How do we utilize our staff to help in that endeavor? And how do we maintain the social distancing practices and just the best practices to ensure that we're promoting safe conditions for everyone involved? So we're working at it. We don't have all of the answers. Unfortunately, we're not able to stop and wait as we sort things out, but some things we are working through as each day goes by. So we have about another 12 days, I think 10, 12 days of what would be considered student time and work your calendar for our 10-month employees. And we want to ensure that we're able to do the closing of school, recognize and celebrate our students who are moving on and transitioning from either high school to life, and also to our promoting 6th graders to 7th grade, and our promoting 8th graders to 9th grade. So the work continues on, and we just appreciate everyone's patience and everyone's understanding during these difficult times.
Yeah, my hat's off to all of you, because it's what an undertaking it is. There's so many details that, I don't know, wish everybody good luck on this. Okay. Comments from the general public. Public comments of the agenda provides an opportunity for the public to address the Personnel Commission on any item of interest that is within the Personnel Commission's jurisdiction. Comments are welcome. However, please be advised that the Commission is prohibited by law from taking any action on an item brought by the speaker or speakers that is not currently listed on the agenda. Please raise your hand on the function online to request to speak. If you're attending by telephone, please press *9 and you will be unmuted online, or your area code and the last 2 digits of your phone number will be called when it's time for you to speak. Please be aware that Personnel Commission Rule 2.9.a states that employees, employee organizations, and other interested parties will be provided reasonable opportunity to present their views orally. Your comments should not exceed 3 minutes. You would begin by stating your name. We'll move on to is there any public comments?
I don't have any public comment. Nobody has raised their hand.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions?
No, it doesn't look like there's been a whole lot of recruitments going on, but I guess that's par for what's going on. I mean, people getting jobs is what I'm trying to say. Never mind.
Okay, it's no further discussion. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Information and discussion. Classified staffing report.
So this is an item that we continue to provide for the commission so that you have a sense of, since the latest board meeting, the comings and goings and additions of staff, and really just so that you have a better view of our classified personnel for the district.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the report.
We'll move to I2, layoff report.
So just as a follow-up, the board took action on April 22nd as well as on May 6th with classified reductions and kind of potential layoffs. And just so that you get a sense of the information, let me see. Okay, I had it up too. As you can see, anytime we do a notice, unfortunately, we have to plan for worst case scenario. So in April, when the board initially took the action, and this was really built around school sites, their SIPSA funding, department funding, we noticed 50 people who were affected by the board action. And then what we did was we went ahead and 9 of those were placed on the 39-month list, and then we had 60. So 39-month list is if they're out the door completely. And then you go through the process of 11 folks on the 63-month list, and those are folks who their hours were reduced. So if they had a reduction, they automatically get 63 months to be made whole again in the event a position opens up with like hours. And then we had 15 that we were able to rescind. We had 6 classified folks who were bumped in the process so that we can sort everyone. And then we had 9 layoffs. And I think that I'm trying to recall this. And I'm not sure if Debbie's is here, but I don't think we had 9 people out the door though. That we did not have 9 folks that were out the door. And then there was another board action on May, which was the reorganization of the FMOT, the facilities maintenance operation. And so there were 15 employees that were impacted. 32 were placed on the 39-month list. 13 were placed on the 63-month list. And then there were 6 bumpings, and then there were 2 layoffs. But again, my recollection is there was only 1 person that was out the door. So we worked with our labor partners to find a placement for our folks. Oh, I know what the layoffs are. I'm sorry. The initial 9 layoffs, there were the layoffs. That was because the collapsing of the security department. So that was between the DSOs and the FCOs. So that did mean that there were actual layoffs for in April.
The numbers under May, are those numbers that are included in the April employees, or are those additional employees?
Those are additional employees. Those are, and what typically what we find that happens over time sometimes is that as we're able to find a placement, so like even for the May employees, we were still up until like yesterday getting their responses. When we send them their impact letter and what their options were. we were still getting those. I mean, even up until yesterday. So we wouldn't even had time to put that onto the board, onto the commission's agenda. But those are separate. Those are based on two resolution actions.
So basically, what you're saying, at least by this report, there was 11 people who possible layoffs.
Correct. Yes.
Fernando, Debbie is with us. Would you like her to speak on it, or you got it covered?
I think I sorted out with the DSOs and the FCOs being the 9 employees. Debbie, are those final numbers? If you're able to provide that input, the 9 and the 2.
Yes, so there are 9 from April. That would include the FCOs, the DSOs, 2 CDAs, and an outreach worker. So that totals
Okay.
9.
Okay. And what about for May? Is that still at 2 or?
Yes, we have 1 grounds supervisor and 1 groundskeeper.
Okay. I thought we were able to place the groundskeeper in a custodial position.
That's pending testing.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So that can change over time then. Okay. So typically what we try to do in these instances is that if they qualified for a position or did in the past, so we'll move them. Our personnel commission rules allow us to offer them a job in a different classification where they still meet the minimum qualifications, and we do that through the meet and confer process with our labor partners.
Are any other questions?
I don't have any speakers.
Okay. Christy, could you check with the interpreter to make sure that we're talking like she is okay with her?
Are you okay, Rebecca?
The information was a little low on Debbie's side. It was just lower volume, so I couldn't hear. But I got the gist of it and I was able to give it, but it was pretty low. So just to let you know, Debbie, it sounds like your volume's a little lower than everyone else's.
And I
Thank
think
you.
Debbie was just reiterating what Fernando had already said. So I think we're
Right, and I got that.
Okay.
I interpreted that information. Thank you.
okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to action items if there's no further discussion. J1, ratification of eligibility lists. The Director of Facilities, Maintenance, Operations, and Transportation. Can I have a motion to move this ratification?
I move to ratify the eligibility list for Director of Facilities, Maintenance, Operations, and Transportation.
Okay, second?
I second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item?
I have no speakers.
Okay. All right. We'll move to vote on it. All those in favor of the ratification for Director of Facilities, Maintenance, Operations, and Transportation, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Okay, J2. Approval, the second reading of proposed job descriptions for Compliance Supervisor, Facilities Operations Supervisor, Irrigation Technician, Transportation Supervisor / Instructor, and Urban Forestry Worker. Can I have a motion to accept the second reading of these positions?
I move to approve the second reading of the job descriptions for Compliance Supervisor, Facilities Operations Supervisor, Irrigation Tech, Transportation Supervisor / Instructor, and Urban Forestry Worker.
Can I have a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on these positions?
I just have a question. When in May, we approved the first reading and the compliance supervisor was called compliance specialist. And now it's compliance supervisor. I just wanted just a brief discussion why the title was changed.
So what we want to ensure is that we're conveying that the compliance person is actually overseeing the process and working with folks. So not necessarily that they're the one that is going around doing all the nuts and bolts, twisting and fixing, but that they also help coalesce all of the resources so that we can ensure that they are addressing those the needs for the district. So it's really looking at that piece. So that was kind of the idea behind that.
Okay, but they're not supervising anyone. They're just an umbrella over work.
Exactly.
Okay.
Correct. They wouldn't supervise. They would still be on the supervisory kind of schedule because the complexities of the job, and they will be having to direct folks in terms of like our trades folks or whomever is part of that process, but they won't be directly supervising any employees.
Okay. Thank you.
And thank you for including those pay scales too for the positions in the agenda.
Yes, I know that was the feedback. So that's actually the next item.
Okay, we'll go, there's no further discussion. All those in favor of accepting the second reading of the listed positions, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay. J3 is the approval of recommended salary placement for the following new classifications. Compliance supervisor at range 19, facilities operations supervisor at range 19, irrigation technician, range 26, transportation supervisor instructor, range 19, and urban forestry worker, range 28. Can I have a motion to accept these salary placements?
I move to approve the recommended salary placements for compliance supervisor at range 19, facilities operations supervisor at range 19, irrigation technician at range 26, transportation supervisor, range 19, and urban forestry worker, range 28.
Okay, second.
I second.
Okay, discussion.
Well, I read through, Fernando, thank you for the update or the summary of, why they were in the different classifications. But for the urban forestry worker, what other jobs are in that salary range 28 that it would be comparable to?
So it's comparable to that of, I believe, a senior equipment operator for groundskeeper. Actually a little bit above that. And what it is that when we look at the hierarchies of the family for grounds, that is actually just a totally new position for us. And so when we look at kind of market conditions and when we look at the complexities of the job, this is kind of more of a different approach. So it actually added an additional classification to that family. So it's kind of more, it is considered the most specialized of all of our groundskeeper positions. So when we look at kind of the hierarchy of the family and we look at where groundskeeper starts at like a 22, and then we look at our irrigation specialist, again, it's a specialized component that comes in, I think, at a 26. And then our senior grounds heavy equipment operator, which we only have one of, is also a 26. We felt that based on market conditions, and this is kind of one of those positions that, typically we go out and we contract for this kind of service. Mm-hmm. But with over 30 sites, we really found the need to ensure that we were being competitive, and that we were going to be able to recruit somebody out of private contracting services and place it appropriately within the family. of complexities. So it's under the trades, you know, like if we look, but that's a whole different family. But with regards to when we look at grounds, it's a very specialized and a very dangerous job when we look at it.
Okay. Are there any comments on the?
I don't see any public comment. Anybody? No.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of accepting the salary placement of the listed positions, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, we're going to J2, approval of the 2020-21 Personnel Commission calendar.
Okay, so this is just something that we do every year in what month are we in? May. So this is just a calendar for our next year for 2021 regular meetings, and it's just on the third Wednesday of every month. I will double check the board. I don't believe that their meetings are published just yet for 2021. So I will, as soon as that comes out, this might have to come back for some adjustments if we do have any overlapping with the board. But this is going off of just the third Wednesday of every month.
Was spring break, is that still floating out in the air?
Spring break is scheduled. I believe I have the calendars right here, and that may have affected our April meeting. I think that might be even later, but it doesn't. I made sure that it doesn't affect it doesn't conflict with spring break.
Okay.
The spring break has the calendar set for next year, but I know that in cabinet we have been discussing the board meetings. But yeah, as Christy said, typically we do this to lock in the dates, and then we'll go back and we will reconcile with board meetings so that we don't have them on the same evening, so that people can participate in both. They don't have to choose between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, I didn't ask for a motion to approve the calendar. Could I have a motion to approve the calendar?
I move to approve the 2020-2021 Personnel Commission calendar.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We've had some discussion. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the commission, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Public hearing, section K, approval of the 2020-21 Personnel Commission operating budget. Could I have a motion on accepting this item?
We have to go into a public hearing, right?
Oh, yeah. So I've got to
Close out.
close the regular meeting?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm closing our regular meeting at 5:59, and we'll go into a public hearing on the Personnel Commission operating budget. Could I have a motion?
I move to approve the 2020-2021 Personnel Commission operating budget.
Okay, second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Discussion?
I was just a quick question. I know that when we do the budgets, normally you put like what we did the year before and then what it is for this time. Do you remember the changes? Are there any changes? Because I was trying to find what we had yet last time.
Last year, the only changes that we had in this budget were based on salary changes.
Oh, okay.
Other than that, we try to keep the same line items. We typically operate from previous budgets and kind of don't, unless we kind of have an idea that we're going to need more in certain areas. We have taken feedback from our labor partners and ensuring that we're keeping our costs down, our contracted services, our consultant fees, and all of those kinds of things. And any dollars that we don't use, we do give back to the district. So it's something that, again, we do that. So you can see Christy's got, and you can even see some of our changes where we've come down, gone up, but for the most part, we're very close.
And this was presented in March. This was in the agenda in March. So this is showing that was the approved budget, and here was the proposed budget. You will notice that there are some differences. It looks like about a $30,000 difference in salaries. We were going off of one calculation, and then when we really got down to it, our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services was able to give us a more finite number. So this is the new one is where it's at. So I'll bring that back up.
Okay, thanks for finding the other.
Sure, no problem.
So it looks to be a little bit more than what was presented originally, but it looks like benefits really went up.
Yes.
Yeah, our back-end benefits now have reached over 30% for our classified employees. So they've been going up from 25, 27, 29. I think we're like in the 32 to 33% range now.
And that's not salaries, that's just benefits.
That's just benefits.
That's just the back end. That's that is the PERS contribution and anything else that has gone up within the state. Yes.
Is the percentage pretty much the same for the other bargaining units?
It's the same across the board, because if you're a classified member and you have PERS, and then PERS has been ramping up over the years, our costs have gotten significantly higher. So the only difference is if you're a I want to say a legacy, or like a pre-PENBRA, or the Pension Reform Act that was, I think, in 2012, 2013. So you're a classic, it's classic, that's what it is. If you're a classic PERS member, the district pays X percentage, and then if you're a post PENBRA, it's a different percentage, but all in all, it comes out to about 31%, because even within those two, it's a different contribution that the employee themselves makes to PERS as well, because they used to be matching contributions, but the district pays far more. The district pays a bigger piece of that. They probably pay, an employee typically pays on average about 9%, 10%, and the district pays easily 20%. On the back end for their employees for PERS contributions.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
Now, do we have any comments or?
No public comment.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and approve the operating budget. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay. So now I'll close the public hearing at 6:04.
Okay, we will go into closed session shortly. I just wanted to read the verbiage here. This section of the Personnel Commission agenda provides the opportunity for comments from the public of the general public on the items which will be presented in closed session. If anyone from the general public has a comment of any of the items that will be discussed prior to the Commission's adjournment to closed session, please let us know at this time. After all comments have been received, the Commission will immediately adjourn to closed session for deliberation and action, if any. If the Commission takes action in closed session, the action will be reported out in open session when the Commission reconvenes before adjournment on this meeting. So you can raise your hand or press *9 if you have any comments. If not, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Okay, no comments.
No comments, okay. I'll adjourn our meeting at 6:05 and we'll go into closed session.
All right, thank you very much. And Rebecca, thank you.